Do not buy 12 Tribes on Earth hair growth oil and hair magic elixir unless you want super healthy, gorgeous hair that grows. They have a whole line of amazing hair growth products, including hair growth leave-in conditioner spray, hair growth shampoo, hair growth spray, and hair growth butter. I'm starting to sense a theme here. They include quality natural ingredients. They smell amazing, and you can see the results for yourself. So if you're looking for healthy hair growth for your natural or relaxed hair, try 12 Tribes on Earth today.
Shalom, family. Good to see you all. Hope you're doing well. Well, let me just start out by saying Scott Bessent is not one of those people I normally pay attention to. I don't have no interest in dudes like this and anything they have to say. He's a billionaire. Donald Trump made him the U.S. Treasury Secretary. And every time this man gets on social media or any type of media, he's always lying. It's almost like his job is to gaslight the public. That's what it starts to feel like after a while. He'll say groceries prices are going down. No, they're not. No, they're not. Oh, the economy is good. No, it isn't. Oh, the people at the bottom are now starting to rise. No, they're not. you know and this is the kind of message he keeps coming out to the public with, and I'm sure it's coming from Donald Trump at the top to tell him to do this shit. But after a while it's annoying and you get tired of hearing it. And for a man that's a billionaire, he's not very well spoken. He stammers a lot, and sometimes he's hard to listen to, in my opinion. But I guess to those that think him having money makes him the most eligible person, I guess you'll just sit there and listen to any damn thing. But in my opinion, it just seems like not only him, but the Trump administration in general are just gaslighters. All of them. Donald Trump, the biggest one of them all, of course. But they all seem to gaslight. And I just can't listen to these people after a while. Is there anyone? It might be some idiots out here that believe everything that comes out of his administration, because believe it or not, there are people on TikTok that just repeat Donald Trump's word. Oh, yeah, we're winning the war. Donald Trump is winning the war. No, he isn't. But there are MAGAs, I kid you not, out on TikTok that swear up and down that the US is winning against Iran because they believe everything that comes out of Donald Trump's mouth. There are people out there like that. Yeah, Elon is a pathological liar too. Jill B. I mean, we all remember this. Man didn't tell the truth about nothing. And I'm still waiting to hear about all of this fraudulent spending that was going on. It's all this fraud and everything. That's why I never repeated that stuff. Now, I heard other YouTubers repeat all that mess that Donald Trump and Elon was saying. Oh, we're finding all this wasteful spending and fraud. And they're sitting on their panels repeating that mess. I said, they ain't finding nothing, because if somebody was stealing and frauding and doing all that stuff, how come there were never any arrests? There were never any arrests. Now, I'm not saying they didn't find anything, but I don't believe it's as massive as they exaggerated, because they greatly exaggerated all that stuff. And then, y'all, they fired the whole Doge team. Now, if they were finding all of this fraud going on, wouldn't you want a team like that around? They let them all go. So that doesn't even exist anymore. Doge does not even exist anymore. So let's get into it. I just want y'all to listen to him and listen to how he expresses himself and how he deals with the press. Donald Trump, you need some professionalism. You really do. And I found out why Caroline Levitt is quitting. Apparently, there have been threats on Donald Trump's life. And he is in fear that they're going to knock his plane out of the sky. His adversaries are going to knock his plane out of the sky. So he had his team with him, Marco Rubio, Caroline Levitt, and other people that are in his cabinet, including that old big bald-headed bastard, Stephen Miller. Yeah, he was on there too, right? Donald Trump got off of that plane and got into a truck, leaving his team to a possible attack. She found out about it and she was pissed and she resigned her position. So he allowed his staff to be a sitting duck while he slipped out of the plane and left altogether. Now, would you do that? Wouldn't you get your whole team off of the plane if you thought there was any kind of threat from your enemies saying they're going to knock your plane out the sky? Wouldn't you make sure everybody get off the plane? Donald Trump just made sure he got himself off the plane and left them as sitting ducks. So that right there tells you he don't give a damn about nobody but himself. He feels anybody should be a sacrificial lamb except for him. So that's why she's quitting. She got pissed when she found out about that. But, the rest of them are still there. Yeah, he don't care about them. To him, they're all expendable, except for him. That's why he slipped out of there and didn't say a word to them. He could have at least said to them, look, there's been a threat on this plane being shot out of the sky. We're going to all get off of this plane and switch planes. He didn't do that. He just got himself out and the hell with the rest of them. Woo! Donald Trump literally don't care about anybody other than himself. If they don't see that by now, they don't want to see it. For real. Yeah. Yeah, Jill B, she thought she was special. She was never special. She is expendable in his eyes. So is Marco Rubio and all of them. They're all expendable. All right. So let me share my screen. Please give me a 1 if you can see my screen. Shoot, he probably would use Marco Rubio as his shield. He would, if bullets were flying, he would probably grab him and use him as a shield. You don't care about them people, man. They're finally getting the picture. Thank you for the ones.
And we went from epic fury to economic fury. And at the president's orders, we have raised the level even again. And watch this space for more announcements coming next week, because we are going to apply measures like have never been seen in the history of economic isolation on a country.
Okay, so what he was talking about, y'all, is the US is going to economically isolate Iran. And I say bullshit to that. First of all, Iran got allies called Russia and China. All right. In fact, Iran literally have more allies than the US right now. Okay, and Oman and other countries around them. They literally have more allies in this world than the US does. But he went on this show talking about you can tell he's been around Trump. We're gonna do in the history of the whole world. We're gonna do this economic. He sound like children. So anyway, they're talking about economically isolating Iran. Now, if you got somebody like China and Russia alone as your allies, that ain't gonna happen, y'all. That ain't gonna happen. Whatever the US does, you can best believe China is going to step up and compensate for whatever the US is doing. They are. And I think the US is wasting their time on this. You know, after a while, when you have tried everything and you can't defeat an opponent, you need to go somewhere and sit down. This is just a waste of time and money. That's all it is, in my opinion.
You speak with the president regularly. Are you trying to tell him the truth about how much costs have increased for the American people?
Well, Senator, I'm going to have to disagree with you on some of that because I have groceries are going down. And to be clear, since President Trump took office, food prices, or as many people like to call them, groceries, food at home in the statistical data, is up 2.5%.
When's the last time you were in a grocery store? Because my husband and I were just in one. And look, the average Granite Stater has paid, let me be clear, the average Granite Stater has paid $3,000 more since Donald Trump took office for basic goods and services. Meanwhile, the country lost 100,000 manufacturing jobs in 2025. So do you tell the president this information or not?
That, again, Senator, except for inflation, which is, I believe, going to be a short-term blip. The economic data is very strong. The jobs data has been very strong. The manufacturing ISM has been very strong.
No, actually, that's incorrect. So let's move on, because what's clear to me...
Which part was incorrect, Senator?
No, what is very clear to me is that neither you nor the president nor this administration are willing to acknowledge how much more people are paying at the gas pump, at the grocery store, in utilities, for healthcare, for all aspects of American life, nor have you acknowledged the number of manufacturing jobs that were lost in 2025.
Why aren't we seeing this sentiment? Why are people feeling better?
Well, when I was in the investment business, there are consumer surveys, but I used to look at what are the people really doing. So at Treasury, we have loads of CEOs come through, whether they're in retail, credit card, the banks, and the consumer, while they may be sounding grim, is actually quite buoyant. Mm-hmm. So we are seeing spending has been very solid across most categories.
So they might not feel good, but...
Well, look, in their heart of hearts, they feel good. I'm not sure what they're telling the survey people.
Stronger, what's your reaction?
Then it's typical that...
Y'all, do you hear how this billionaire articulates himself? I want you to pay attention. This is a billionaire. Do you listen to how he articulates? He stammers a lot, and then he says, in the heart of hearts of the consumers out here, we're feeling good. The hell they do. No, people are not feeling good these days. People are struggling. People are telling you they can't pay their rent, or if they paid their rent, they can't afford food, or if they pay their utility bill, they can't buy food. So no, in the heart of hearts of America, they're not feeling good. They're not feeling good at all. But this is the message this man has put. That's why I said, did Donald Trump hire this man just to gaslight the public all the time? Because it seems like that's what his job is. You know, you notice he don't give you any breakdowns of what's happening in the US Treasury. It's just coming out in the public and gaslighting everybody. All right, let's go.
That
Ludicrous,
they're uninformed, deranged, and have no idea what they're talking about.
Yeah.
This is a manufacturing renaissance. The service economy is strong, and I think consumers are finally starting to feel it, and inflation will come down. We'll get to the other side of Iran, and I think the feel-good factor will come back.
The socialist movement that seems to be in a way taking over the Democrat Party. Cost of living is fueling a lot of this, as you know, in this country. And despite a lot of positive economic news, there's still a feeling from a lot of people that things are too expensive. I think it's kind of fueling what we're seeing here. How do we get rid of that liability, before we vote again here in November? How do we ease that so this movement kind of dies out?
Rob, good to be with you. And look, this comes up all the time. We spent 45, 50 years fighting communism, the Soviet Union, which collapsed. Show me where it's ever worked before, whether it's the Soviet Union, Cuba, Venezuela. And these policies, you always end up with less. You always end up with less of what people want. And look, people should be upset. The Biden administration torched them. It was 21.5% unemployment, 4 or 5% loss of purchasing power. Wages didn't keep up. And for working Americans, I think the inflation level is probably 30 or 35% for things like autos, insurance, rent. And we've been trying to bring those down. Core inflation printed 2 days ago, 2.5%. A very good number, moving towards the Fed's 2%. The Iran conflict has given us a temporary spike in energy prices. We're going to get to the other side of this and come down. And what we've seen over the past year is that the bottom 25% of working Americans, their wages were up 5.5%. Overall wages were up above 4%. And look, 3.5% headline inflation. That's a real wage gain. It's not great, but a lot of times I tell people I feel like an emergency room doctor. The patient came in, he'd been backed over by a truck, and the first thing we had to do was stabilize the patient. And now we've applied the right medicine, and things are getting better slowly. And I think every week we are seeing real wage gains. Prices are coming down. The CPI numbers showed drug prices are down, grocery prices have flattened out, car insurance is down. So I'm very confident we are going to get to a good place. And it's unfortunate to see this DSA movement getting this kind of traction. Then in March this year, or February, we started the kinetic war. The kinetic war ended after several weeks, and we went from epic fury to economic fury. And at the president's orders, we have raised the level even again. And watch this space for more announcements coming next week, because we are going to apply measures like have never been seen in the history of economic isolation on a country. And I think the reason we are succeeding is because it is a 1-2 punch. People say, well, Cuba lasted a long time, Venezuela lasted a long time. Venezuela immediately crumbled when we put the blockade on. So it will be a combination of economic isolation like the world has never seen before, and the continued blockade in the Strait of Hormuz that will keep anything from going in or out of the Iranian ports.
speculated the straight will never go back to being the way it was before. What would you say?
I would say, I think they're saying that in a doomsday sort of way. I would say it in another way. The straight is never going back to the way it was because the Iranians have used or tried to use it as a choke point. What we are going to see over the next 2 years, the straight's going to become irrelevant. It is going to become just another body of water. And I would say that more than 50 or 70% of the energy that moves through the strait now is going to go through underground pipelines.
Hey, yo, Carter, you said, wait, maybe not you. Hold on, I can't, let me see. Somebody wrote, how is he even qualified? October. No, that was Michelle Harvey. He's a white man that's a billionaire. That's what makes him qualified. You know, Donald Trump don't require his people to be qualified, but they turn around and talk all this merit stuff to everybody else. They talk all that merit BS to everyone else, though, right? So anyway, y'all, but one good thing about Scott Bessent is the one that kicked Elon's behind on his last day in charge of Doge. If y'all remember, Elon was standing there with that shiner, and he was trying to blame that on his son. Well, that was Scott Bessent that took his ass out and kicked his ass. He got his ass kicked by Scott Bessent. So anyway, y'all, this is the kind of stuff he says all the time. Like I said, I don't see how anybody can listen to this man. Yeah, he's a DEI hire. Yes, he is. Donald Trump's whole cabinet is DEI. You know, I don't know. Maybe that's how people in his family talk. They probably all come together and that's how they talk to each other. Yeah, but you know what, Rosalind, it's not enough of us to single-handedly ruin an economy. If you claim we are only 13% of the population, then there's literally nothing we can do to ruin your economy. It's not enough of us to do it. Mm-hmm. Yes, he is LGBTQ. Yes, he is. Mm-hmm. No, it was not Stephen Miller. No, it wasn't. It was Scott Bessent. So, y'all, I'm going to go ahead and conclude. Thank you so much for being here. I deeply appreciate it. And be on the lookout for my other live. My next live is going to be what Africans are saying about returning home and why they will never return back home. So that will be at 3:45. So I will see you all then. Don't forget to pick up your hair products. And I will be putting the goat milk shampoo and leave-in conditioner on sale more than likely next week. All right. So that will go on sale next week. And that is my newest product that's coming out. And there's one more shampoo that will be coming out, but it's probably going to be more like November. And that's going to be the flaxseed and rice shampoo. So that's going to be more like November. So y'all, thank you so much for coming. Have a wonderful afternoon. And let me see, what time is it? 2:50. Okay. I will see you at 3:45. Shalom, family.